Hi.
Hi.
Make you a co-host. Oh, I guess Joe's coming.
Hi, Joe.
Hello. I'm not sure I'm needed, but I'm here in case I can do shadow puppets.
We had our rehearsal. I think we're good.
Good. I
let's
just
begin
modified the
with
slideshow. Just modified the filmmaking slide, centered it a little bit better.
Okay. We're in the Zoom room. Okay.
Are we all co-hosts?
Yes. I don't know how to add Mr. McDonald to this text group chat because not everybody's on an iPhone and it won't let me add someone.
Well, Leslie, you can just text me.
Okay.
I don't even know if you even want me on this meeting or in the,
Let's check with
Miss Sturgill.
Virgil. Yeah, she might have it all under control. She did this afternoon, so we'll see.
Good.
We are recording and we're all co-hosts.
Silence your phones.
And also, I do not disturb on the computer. Where's notifications? Why can't I find it? Did you get any more videos today, Leslie?
Yeah, a bunch.
Good.
Had Lila and Ethan helped recruit a few more.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're still missing some, but I'm gonna work on them. I'll work on them tomorrow.
Alarm.
Yeah, it's time.
Oh my God, I forgot to comb my hair. Okay.
No curls.
Keep it kind of pulled back like that. There you go. Do you want to
the
make?
guests are starting?
We have guests. I'm not letting them in yet. Hold on.
Do you want to? Oh, you co-hosted us already.
Yes.
Do you need Joe and Jen to be co-hosts?
Rowie and Shoshi aren't here yet to make them co-hosts.
Okay.
And where's Miss Sturgill? She's on mute.
She's there already.
Okay, so we have some guests now.
Okay.
Miss Sturgill, how are you feeling about Mr. McDonald being here and joining us?
I am loving every second.
Okay. So let's just wait for Rowie and Shoshi. It's still only 4:54.
Okay.
In the meantime, do we want to do a sound check and just make sure each person can unmute themselves and that their microphone is turned up?
Testing 1, 2, 3 from Tahoe, although I won't be talking.
And Jen, it sounds like your sound is good.
Hello.
Good. Hi, Yael.
Yael, do you want to unmute yourself and just check your microphone?
Sure. Hello.
Sounds good.
Hi.
See your art. It's beautiful.
You know what helps when we do the
Here's
sound
Rowie.
checks is whoever's checking, just do this. And this way we see if there's a delay between your lips and the sound.
Oh, good
Does that
point.
make sense? So
Okay.
Yael is perfect.
Excellent.
Jen is perfect. Perfect. Masha?
Go again.
I didn't hear
Couldn't
it.
hear Masha.
Masha, go
Can you-
again.
No.
Yeah,
Oh.
there we go.
What's going on with your sound?
I don't know. Hear me? Can you
Try
hear me
one more.
Now, Karen.
Now we can,
Yeah, I can hear
yes.
you talking.
So we just need Shoshi.
Oh yeah, my Zoom has been crashing actually. I think
Oh.
my internet is suffering because we might be simultaneously on too many conference calls in this house. So
Oh, so she just texted. She says, I'm having some difficulties getting in.
Okay.
I didn't read the rest of the text. It disappeared too fast.
Rowie, do
She
you
did
want
it
to
on the
test your
texting.
sound with the clap, kiddo?
Me?
Just such.
Rowie, I didn't hear you. Not hearing you talk.
Can you hear me talking?
I can hear you talking, but it cut out. Do the clap really close to the screen.
That's better.
Okay.
So cute.
I felt like I was a
You're so
mosquito.
sweet.
Just slap.
We're recording all of this, right? All
Yes,
of this is
we
being
are.
recorded?
Shoot,
Yeah, good.
Shoshi rang in. Oh, there she is. Okay, I'm making Shoshi a co-host. Okay, she's in.
So she turn on your video and turn off your mute, please.
There we go.
Sound check, so she talked to us.
Hello. Sound checking.
So cute.
That's perfect.
Okay, we have 3 guests. I'm not letting them in until we're ready. Do we, Jen or Ms. Sturgill, do you have a screen to share while people are joining, or should we just be here smiling and welcoming? What do we all think?
Let me go ahead. I mean, it's kind of cool just to see the people, you know, everybody's going to be wanting to check everybody out.
It's up to you.
But I can do a screen share.
And just in case Ms. Sturgill's computer dies midstream, I've got the presentation on mine.
Great.
So we have a backup if need be.
Great. Perfect.
Guest alum.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Rachel, just make sure you're in prison. Oh yeah, you're getting there.
Oh wait, I have to leave full screen mode so I can let people in still. There we go. Okay, so there's
When we let people in, Ms. Sturgill or is Ms. Sturgill or Ms. Hunt going to say welcome everyone kind of like intermittently for the first 5 minutes, or who's gonna do that? Just making sure that
I would love it if Ms. Hunt would do that, just as sort of like the overarching, this is the marketing, pulling this together. And I'm kind of like a sub guest, and then there's sub guests.
You're never a sub guest, but I'm happy to be the voice of welcome.
okay. We have 9 in the waiting room. It's 4:59. I'm gonna let them all in. Is everybody ready?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'll mute everybody. And here we go.
Welcome, everyone. We're going to take just another minute or so, make sure everybody gets in from the waiting room. But thank you so much for joining us. And we're really looking forward to being able to talk a little bit about visual art today. All right, so thank you. Give us another minute or so, and then we'll get started. Everyone, I just want to say how nice it is to see you all. I know this is probably like your 100 millionth Zoom call during this quarantine, but we appreciate that you're taking the time out to be with us today. And I think that if we feel like everybody is all set, maybe we'll get going here. For those of you who don't remember me, because you maybe haven't seen me for 2 weeks, I'm Ms. Hunt, the Director of Admissions. And on behalf of the admissions team and all the members of the team, I really want to say thank you for joining us and welcome. We're really glad to have you here. Today, as you know, we're talking a little bit about the visual art program at JCHS. And so without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the head of our Visual and Performing Arts Department, Ms. Jen Sturgill, and she'll take us through the presentation today. So Ms. Sturgill, you want to take it away?
All for being here. I'm so excited that we get to do a little bit of a deep dive into the visual arts at JCHS. And that thank you for all making time in your day, like Ms. Hunt said, to be here. I just wanted to introduce myself again if we haven't already met. My name is Ms. Sturgill, and I am the chairperson of the Visual and Performing Arts Department at JCHS, and I also teach several of the visual art classes as well as AP Art History that we offer every other year. So I am here, and I just wanted to acknowledge that if indeed we have met before, I might be looking a little different to you. And I just wanted to acknowledge that I am indeed in costume, and a little bit about why. We have been through such a big change in such a very quickly in our lives, and especially with school going to distant learning, we're all figuring out how to do this. And I just decided for myself to make it fun and to really sort of like ritualize the beginning of school, sitting down at the computer, and sort of adopted this costume. Anytime I'm appearing online, I am looking like this, but if we met again in person, I would be that person that perhaps you met at open house. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. I am here with three incredible students, all who are students of the visual arts at JCHS. And I've asked them to join as co-hosts because they all have such interesting and unique insights into their experience. So I would just like to introduce them. The first thing I just want to do maybe is just to remind you about some, let's see, I'm having trouble advancing. Oh, there we go, great. Some Zoom basics. I just wanted to say that you're all going to be muted just to take care of the sound, and that if you have questions during the presentation, to be sure to use the chat feature. We really want to hear your questions, and that's a great place to do it. So just in terms of how it's going to go tonight, I'm going to introduce our co-hosts. Then I'm going to lay out the course offerings in the visual arts that we have at JCHS, and tell you more about the kinds of creative and artistic opportunities that you have, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. So the first thing I'd like to do is just to introduce our student co-hosts, and their names are Yael Homa, Shoshana Alessi, and Rowie Arnold. And we're going to start with Yael. So I'd just like Yael, please introduce yourself and show the slide that you put together.
Okay, here, wait, you have to flip to the, okay. So, hi, I'm Yael Homa. I am a senior at JCHS, and I took art all 4 years at JCHS. So my freshman year, I didn't take a study hall, and instead I did sculpture. And then my sophomore year, I did concepts and processes, which is the intermediate studio art. Junior year, I took AP studio art drawing. And then I wanted to do AP studio art again this year because I wanted to continue with visual art. So I did a different version of AP Studio and did 3D design. So here are some of my pieces that I did in each of these classes. So under each one is the year I did it. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we're going to come back to you because I definitely want you to share some of your insights. But for right now, we're just doing the introduction. So we're going to go on to Shoshana Alessi. Thank you, Yael.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, next slide.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shoshana. I'm a junior here at JCHS, and I have been taking art since freshman year. I followed the same path that Yael did, materials and methods, then concepts and processes, then AP 2D art and design, and it's been such a lovely experience. Oh yeah, well I did AP 2D art and design because you have 3 options for what AP studio art you take, and that's the one I chose. I've had such a great experience here, and I look forward to seeing you all next year and seeing the beautiful work you create. Thank you.
Thank you, Shoshana. Okay, Rowie.
Hi,
Rowie
everyone.
Arnold.
My name is Rowie Arnold, and very different from the 2 other girls. I have not taken an art class before this year, and I had no serious interest in art before junior year. So I'm a junior at JCHS, and I took sculpture this year, and it completely changed my way of looking at art and visual art and anything that has to do with art, because I'm not artistically inclined, but art has opened my eye, like opened everything for me, and it was just a wonderful experience, and I made so many fun stuff, and yeah, I'm so excited to see you guys next year.
Oh, fantastic, Rowie. Thank you very much. So we're going to go on to the next, and we're going to hear from all of these wonderful people, throughout the presentation. I just wanted to lay out for you perhaps just some of the logistics of like, what are the art classes that we offer, and what is the path for, say, getting to something like AP Studio, and where do you begin? So the course offerings, if you look at the screen on the left, is the list of the classes. So we offer filmmaking, photography 1 and 2, acting, instrumental ensemble, materials and methods, concepts and processes, sculpture, and AP Studio art. So that's the whole deal. Now over on the right, you can see that there's a flow chart. And so leading you through that, if you just look at the dark orange, that is sort of like the core classes. At JCHS, your graduation requirement is that you have to take 1 full year of art. And it can be visual art, it could be the performing arts. But in the visual arts, the classes that would be the core class, the class that you could take as your first year, your graduation requirement art class would be either filmmaking, photography, materials and methods, or sculpture. Those are the classes that you can start with as your graduation requirement. Once you have done any of those in the visual arts, then you're eligible to take an elective. And in filmmaking, the path would be to advanced filmmaking, which then the following year could let you go to AP Studio. You could take advanced photo if you took the beginning photo class. And then the following year, your 3rd year of art, you could also be eligible for AP Studio art, having done 2 years of photo. Materials and methods, that's sort of like the foundational class for a lot of 2D art, design, drawing, painting. And the following year, you could take concepts and processes, which is a continuation, sort of an intermediate level, which would then lead to AP Studio art. Sculpture is also a core class. It will satisfy your graduation requirement. And if you wanted to keep taking art, you can go right into concepts and processes, again, that intermediate studio class, and continue from there to AP Studio art. So that's the basics of our course offerings and the flow, the path of how they can progress. Just the next few slides, what I'd like to do is just to show you just a few brief little works of student work that has come out from some of those classes. So here we have some examples of photography. At the top, this is photography that was made with in the darkroom using 35mm film, where you learn to work a camera and process film, develop film into negatives, and print that film in a darkroom. Below the lower image, that's a digital image. So in photography, you learn both. You learn both darkroom technique and digital technique. Filmmaking. Here's a view of Mr. McDonald teaching his class of filmmaking. And on the right, here's an example of a green screen in which students use to create and film their own creations in filmmaking. We have acting. So I'm not going to go into too much since this is a visual arts segment, but as you can see, we have a really dynamic, amazing acting program. Here's a couple of photos of materials and methods. Student working on something on the left, and then just a view of the classroom of people working. And this is a typical day. You can see that, you know, when the visual arts at JCHS are very hands-on. We are in the studio, we have learning objectives and goals, and in materials and methods, there's a real focus on developing skills and techniques and an introduction to and familiarity of how to use different materials, and why you would use materials for one thing and for a different material for something else, based on what you do with materials and techniques. Concepts and processes is kind of the intermediate class. So this is after you have sort of a foundation of what it is that you're studying in some of the core classes, and then you can bring this, what your foundation, and use it to develop visual art statements that have a bit more of a personal aesthetic direction. Often we work with themes in this class. And so the personal interpretation of an assignment can take a very different direction for each student based on what it is that they're interested in doing with that particular theme, with the particular project or assignment that we're doing. Sculpture. Sculpture is, again, it's a core class. You don't have to have any experience with 3D design, art and design coming in, but that's what we learn and practice throughout the year. And as if you can see that on the right there, this hand that's being held up there. Roe, why don't you chime in here and tell us a little bit about what we're looking at with that piece on the right. Can you do that?
Yeah, totally. So the piece on the right, was made out of paper mache. We looked at a gallery of masks, from like ancient masks to anything. And then we sort of made our own take on it, along with like a hybrid of that and an animal. And then we paper mached over it, and then we sort of took it to whichever direction we wanted to. I love numbers, and numbers calm me down for some reason. So this is a book of statistics, an old book. It was kind of falling apart in the box, so I cut it up into tiny strips and spent at least like a solid 6 hours in the art room taping it next to each other, and it was so fun. And yeah, that's sort of what came out.
It sure did, Roe, and the power of that, those numbers sort of muffling this sort of, you know, biomorphic sort of face underneath had a lot of associations and generated a lot of really interesting comments and critiques in the art class. And this is really an interesting example of how something with a sort of at first glance being quite simple, monochromatic, can have a lot of depth to it. Thank you, Roe.
Yeah.
So the next slide I wanted to show you is some of work from the AP Studio class. And we happen to have two ambassadors of our AP Studio program with us tonight, Yael and Shoshana. So here we see Yael on the left, and she's working on a sculpture. We have Shoshana's drawing on the right. In the middle, we have a sculpture by another student, Diddy Miller, who also focused on 3D design, art and design as Yael did. But maybe at this point, Yael, could you talk a little bit about either, how you grew by taking our art at JCHS, or if you'd like to talk about specifically the inquiry-based direction that you took your AP Studio portfolio this year.
Okay, I guess I can briefly touch upon both of them. So how I grew through art is, well, at first my freshman year, I was not like super passionate about art. Like I did it because like I wanted to get the class done so that I could do other electives. But then I realized like while I was doing it, I really enjoyed the class and I wanted to continue doing art. So I continued through, and now I've taken 4 years of art, and all of a sudden I'm done with high school. So and this year I'm doing 3D design, as I mentioned. So this piece is part of a collection of works. So for AP Studio, you choose a concentration based on a question and make pieces that are about that inquiry so it's called an inquiry. My inquiry is about regeneration and how I can use materials that are like almost at their last point of being used and create something. So here I use these dried up twigs. I forget the name of the plant, but I regenerate it into this figure that is like 5'11", I think we measured it. Yeah.
That's wonderful, Yael. Thank you. I think those the canes that you were using were from the daylily plant after they dry.
Oh yeah, and it like kind of fit with my inquiry because these lilies happen to only bloom once a month for like a couple of hours, and then they go away, and it kind of goes through this cycle of regeneration, which I find really fascinating.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Shoshana, can you tell us a little bit about your experience, maybe with either how your experience taking art connected to maybe some of your other learning at JCHS, and or if you'd like to tell us a little bit about the inquiry that led to this series of drawings that you did in AP Studio.
Oh, yes. So as for the first question, I would say what I've learned in art, both like in technical strategies and in mentalities to have both been like very impactful on other aspects of my learning. For instance, in AP Studio Art especially, we've been really working on like synthesizing our ideas and our concepts with our creations. And that's really helpful in other classes. For instance, AP US History, you have to make a lot of connections between like certain nuances of events. So that sort of way of thinking has been really helpful in other classes that require a lot of complex thinking. But there's just so many ways it is intersected with other classes. And as for my inquiry this year, I chose to ponder the concept of confidence and how I can convey that through my art. So this particular piece is an image of me at my bat mitzvah, and I thought that was like the first drawing I really made. I mean, like I worked on other stuff, but that was like what I was set on and what really started the entire process for me. It was like the purity of confidence. So I worked in with a style that I'm very confident in. And I also chose a time where my confidence came from like a very pure place. And from that, I just worked on other facets of confidence and other expressions of confidence. So yes, thank you.
Thank you, Shoshi. Okay, so what are some of the art events and student opportunities that we have at JCHS? Well, at the end of the year, we have Arts Evening. And this year, it's going to be Arts Evening virtual style. It's going to be on June 2nd. It will be a pre-recorded, but it will be live, it will go live on Instagram. And so you'll have an opportunity to look at many, many more art students' works, and even them actually talking about their works. And so I hope you'll tune into that on June 2nd. There's art competitions. Students can submit their work to juried shows, as well as to sort of internationally and nationally known high school art competitions. There's yearbook, an incredible opportunity for creativity. There's JTV, which is sort of like our homegrown TV program that Mr. McDonald, the filmmaking teacher, and students create to do in lieu of, say, having an assembly in person. And it's always anchored by students and totally student driven and student involved. There's an art club. That's something that you can actually start yourself. There's Art to Fila. There's an opportunity to work on poster design for marketing, whether it's for the drama production or something else. And there's usually always scenic work and theater tech opportunities that are available. So for the drama production. So those are quite a list of different ways that you can get involved creatively and artistically at JCHS. Here's a little photo of an arts evening from a couple of years ago. And actually what we're looking at here is sort of some independent student work, and even a keystone with a student who was learning to make a tapestry, learning the tapestry technique. And she actually made her own loom out of copper pipes. It was quite extraordinary. And here's a couple of examples of the art from student competitions. On the left, Louis Gluck was the winner of a National Scholastic Silver Medal for this paper and ink piece called Rift. And our own Yael Homa's piece on the right here called My Journey. And this piece was selected out of just to be one of about 30 works after the Southern Exposure, a prominent gallery here in San Francisco, opened up with their Teen Arts Council a call for entries for works to be submitted from teens from all over Bay Area schools, and they selected just a few. And this piece by Yael, which is graphite and lino cut and collage, was selected for that show. Art opportunities at JCHS. So here's just some photos that might show you that. Oh, I lost my JTV one, but here's the theater tech photo. You can see Emma here is, using a screw gun to screw some bracing into the wall for a production. Hands-on studio experience. This is just a great shot in the studio of someone working. Up at the top, you can see the scenic work. This was the boulder that was created for Antigone, and they were covering it with graffiti. So that was part of the scenic work. That was kind of fun. And then over on the far left is mural painting. So when you're part of the concepts and processes class, the intermediate class, you have an opportunity as the last part of the year to design and paint your own mural in the school, sort of leaving your mark on the school. And I think that's about it for our presentation, but I wanted to thank you and open up the questions. And I'm going to stop sharing the screen here so that we can just keep looking at each other, if that's good with you guys. Okay, so we have some questions here. And I just wanted to maybe open it up. I know that there was some questions you guys wrote in earlier. So Yael, why don't you answer some of the question that was on the RSVP list of questions, something you felt like you could answer.
So one of the questions was, wait, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Was what mediums are offered or can be explored in the art studio? So as someone who's worked in the studio for multiple years, there are so many different kinds of mediums you can explore. Some of them include just basic drawing, painting, there's printmaking. So I made like lino cuts, which was one of the works shown, where you carve things and put ink on it and print it. Photography, acting. You can make works with basically anything you find. Art is not necessarily limited to what people think of as like the basic just painting, but there's a ton of mixed media and collage. I'm probably missing a bunch of things. And then another question, what? If someone wants to chip into like more mediums.
Video, performance, installation. You're doing great, Yael. Well, answer another one of your questions.
Okay. The other question was, what are a sample of the types of projects we will work on? So it really depends on the class you take. If you're taking sculpture, some of the things you do, a lot of the things in the intro classes are very structured. And as you go through the art classes, they become more independent and you can kind of choose what you want to make. Especially like AP Studio, it's totally self-driven, where your instruction is basically to come up with an inquiry like I talked about and make works on your own, and you kind of have to explore that and really discover the artistic process outside of school, which is like if you want to follow the path later on. But yeah, for the intro classes, they're very structured and you'll do some basic sculptures with like wire faces or cutting cups out like you saw, making the masks. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Yael. I wanted to answer a question I think that was written in about a particular design class that just focused on architecture. And I would say that the opportunity to study architecture is something that we definitely touch on in many of the different classes. It's something that's integrated in terms of, say, for example, in materials and methods and in concepts and processes, we develop and practice our understanding about linear perspective and what it means to render a three-dimensional space convincingly on a two-dimensional surface. So this is part of what architectural design would involve. In sculpture, that idea of constructing and building with materials to create something that has structural integrity, is at the heart and fundamentals of what it is to study architecture and to construct with architecture. But in terms of just architecture as like architectural design as a course, that is not something that we're offer. We're more sort of holistic and inclusive about that. However, if you're interested in the study of architecture, the history of architecture, then AP art history, when that becomes available to you, then I highly encourage you, because that will be a great foundation just in terms of your cultural literacy and knowledge, globally about like architecture. So I just wanted to answer that. Let's see, Shoshana, I think you had a couple of questions that you felt you could speak to. So why don't you go ahead and do that?
Yes, so one question regarded different techniques you'll learn for portraits and stuff like that and drawing. So two that I found to be I found everything incredibly helpful and have been. The first one is chiaroscuro, which is for drawing, and it's like the balance of shading and accurately shading based on light sources and such. And that was incredibly informative for when I was working on different realistic style art pieces. And another time that I learned a lot about techniques in that way is when we learned painting, like impasto and gradients. But I've learned so many techniques and they're very interwoven into the curriculum. And I think that my ability to execute those techniques has drastically improved. And deepened since I first started my art journey at JCHS. So there are a lot of different lessons for technical stuff in art within the classes, especially in materials and methods and concepts and processes. So you're really able to carry that with you throughout your years. The other question was about theater and doing art, and if you can balance that, and if they interfere with each other in any way. They don't. You can be involved in theater and the arts at the same time, and when you do art, you can also don't intersect time wise, so it's never been a problem for me and I both, so it's great. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Shosh. I just wanted to, there was a question that came up in the chat, and it's like a perfect segue from what you were talking about, Shoshana, in terms of the relationship between visual art and your involvement in drama. And it was just more, the question was about acting and the theater productions, and those are two separate things. You can be in acting and not in a drama production. You can also audition for a drama production and not be enrolled in acting, and if you're selected for the drama production, you can go ahead and do that. So they're really two different things. I would just say that I wanted to thank you for all your questions. There are so many, and we're not going to be able to do it all together in our live session tonight, but be sure to email us and we will get back to you, because we really want to know what you're thinking and hear how excited you are about it, and just to allow you to be able to come into the school year with your eyes wide open about what it is that we can offer here in the JCHS and arts. Mary Ellen, Ms. Hunt, can I hand it off to you for a closing statement?
Absolutely. Just echoing what Ms. Sturgill said, thank you so much to Ms. Sturgill and to the students that joined us here today. As she mentioned, if you have questions, and there were a few that maybe we didn't get to, please feel free to either email us or we'll try to get back to you with some answers to more specific questions. And also, I just wanted to let everybody know, you probably saw in the message, there's another Zoom meeting tomorrow where we'll be talking with our Director of Social Justice and Inclusion, Roni Van David, and talking about some of the programs that she works with. So hopefully we'll see some of you there again. Sorry, this is my cat who insists on being in every Zoom call that I am on. But one more time, thank you so much to everyone for being here. We really appreciate it. And, you know, on a personal level, I love seeing you all because I feel like I haven't seen you in a really, really long time. So hope everybody is staying healthy. Hope you're all staying safe, and that we will all be together again soon. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hunt, and thank you again to the co-hosts. You were brilliant. Love you.
Thank you for coming, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Okay.
This does.
Okay, my cat really, really, really wanted to be on Zoom. Ow.
Oh.
It did. It did. That was good. I know. That's okay. There's more stuff to come. It's good. We can't cover every single thing, but I thought that went really well. What? You're like, no, sorry, didn't make it. Oh my God, there was 32 people in the room at one point. So this kind of does make me think, sorry, oh my God. This kind of does make me think that it would be worth us exploring some summer short Zooms. Joe, I don't know if you were in that conversation or or if I mentioned it to you today, which seems so long ago that we were talking today, Joe.
Yeah.
But we were brainstorming some things to do over the summer. I mean, heaven only knows if people are going to be able to travel or do camp or whatever. But we thought maybe we could do like a JCHS series, just, 30, 45-minute Zooms. Mr. Hagan teaches you how to make a Lego robot, or, Ms.
Oh,
Sturgill
yay.
teaches you how to do a 10-minute drawing. Or, here's a fast trick for, just kind of lighthearted, kind of fun, and not too long, but just something that's interesting to do that could be a little bit more interactive. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, like not to make it high pressure. Miss Hunt teaches you how to make a cocktail, stuff like that.
Asha teaches you how to open a beer bottle.
With your teeth. Yeah. I mean, they're doing things. It's so interesting because they're obviously communicating with each other outside of the formal arena. I
Mhm.
noticed that on one of the Instagram stories, because I'm watching some of the kids and their Instagram stories, Cassidy tagged Gabby Orangejean and somebody else. And I thought, oh my God, how does Cassidy know Gabby? Like, is it only because they're all in the class together? But somehow they're connecting with each other in other ways outside, which is great. I think that it would be also great to have just like a little bit of, JCHS kind of sponsored stuff, and then let them do the whatever else. Oh my God, Kat, you're killing me. Um, have other stuff that they do just on their own. Thank
Well,
you. Don't
other
record the cat.
day, if